The purpose of Silence the Podcast is to inspire low-income students and students of color to apply to Yale and other prestigious institutions by sharing my experiences. The purpose of Silence the Podcast is not to defame, bash, slander, attack, or drive hate or harassment towards anyone mentioned on the episode, including but not limited to Yale University, Yale College, other entities related to Yale, Yale staff, or Yale administration. The opinions, beliefs, and perspectives of Aisha, Selena, or any guest on Silence the Podcast do not reflect the opinions, beliefs, and perspectives of Yale University, Yale College, Yale administration, or other entities related to Yale. Buckle in. Silence is complacency.
Welcome to Silence the Podcast with Daisha Selena.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Silence the Podcast. This is episode 9, my second semester at Yale, part 2. Child, it's been a while. It's been a while since we spoke. It's been a while since I've seen y'all. I don't even know if this is episode 9. Like, that's how far back I can't even remember when's the last time we kikied and chopped it up. Before I get into the episode, I'm going to give you a brief little rundown of where I've been, because obviously I have been missing in action for the past few weeks. I think I missed like 2 uploads at this point, but there's a reason behind all the madness, okay? Starting off my last episode about like my second semester at Yale, which was part 1 of this video. After I uploaded that episode and filmed that episode, I felt a lot better. In that episode, I expressed a lot of like sadness and just, feeling overall down about how my experience at Yale has been, and especially the second semester. I expressed feeling very tired, feeling very alone, feeling very like just ready to get it over with, and just feeling very like anxious. That was all true, and that was all very much like real raw feelings. And then after I uploaded that episode, I felt a whole lot better because, and I've said this before, but when I say like you guys help me as much as I help you, I really mean that, because as much as I'm able to connect with a lot of people, and a lot of people see my episodes and they reach out to me and they tell me like, I felt a lot of that too, I'm feeling this too, I'm going through this too at my school. This platform is also an opportunity and a chance for me to release all the things that I have bottled up inside me, because as I'm going through the motions day to day and I'm figuring this college stuff out and I'm at Yale and I'm stressed and I'm like just going through a lot, especially personally as well, being able to get on here and express myself and know that people are going to support and are going to watch and are going to relate and are going to be able to, feel a sense of comfort knowing that someone else is going through the same thing or something similar as them. That's really a positive outlet for me, and it's been helping me a lot. Like, without Silence, I probably would be having a much worse experience at Yale than I'm, having. But all that matters, and what I'm trying to communicate now, is I'm very, very grateful and appreciative for you guys and allowing me to have this platform and this outlet, because it very much helps. Uploaded that episode, I was feeling a little bit better. That didn't last long. Then midterm season came and that started to kick my behind completely, literally, and I was super down. I was struggling so much. I was constantly in office hours, constantly needing to get help, and I've never been in a position where I didn't feel like I was going to pass a test, or I didn't feel like I wasn't going to pass a class, and I experienced that for the first time. So that was incredibly stressful, and still doing this alone. I have been able to connect to some people, especially at my job, the Afro-American Culture Center, and I'll get into this a little bit later too, but I 100% recommend, if you're a prospective Yale student, or if you're already committed and you're coming to Yale and you're a student of color, more specifically a Black student, looking into the Afro-American Cultural Center and applying to work here when the application does roll out in the fall, or even if you don't want a job your first year or you aren't interested in working, this building and this community and this resource is something that has been literally getting me through my first year at Yale. Like, I will never downplay the Afro-American Cultural Center, and I 100% recommend it to Black students. And if you're not, or if you don't identify as Black or whatever the case may be, there are other cultural centers like the Hispanic Cultural Center, the Asian Cultural Center. Like, there's other centers, but obviously I'm a Black woman. I identify as Black. My whole experience around a Black woman is part of my identity. So of course I'm going to be at the Afro-American Black Cultural Center. That has been so helpful. I've connected with a few people, went on a couple coffee dates, lunch dates, but all in all, I still feel this sense of extreme loneliness and alone that I felt a few months ago when I was talking about my first semester at Yale, part 1. So that's where I was. And then after that, I didn't really have motivation to film and upload. And then on top of that, I had 2 episodes lined up. One was going to be kind of controversial because it was going to touch on an issue that I experienced earlier in the school year that I already talked about, but it was going to be involving people that I don't really speak to anymore. And that situation is done. That situation is over with. So I don't really want to keep talking about it and like beating a dead horse and continuing to, bring up that situation, because I don't want nobody coming to me talking about some, oh, you can't let it go, you keep bringing it up, blah blah blah. The second episode was going to be about Yale's relationship with New Haven, which is the city that Yale is in, because it's not the best relationship. It's a very strained relationship, and I think it's important for me to touch on, being that I have this platform, being that I'm a student at Yale, being that I'm a Black woman, being that I'm from New York City, being that I'm coming from an underfunded, an underprivileged, an underrepresented high school. And yeah, I won't get too much into it, but that's what that episode was going to be about. That controversy was going to be connected to the political climate right now and this attack on like Ivy Leagues or Ivy League funding. Like, it's a whole lot that went into it. And I actually reached out to the dean of Yale, like the dean of Yale, like the actual dean of Yale College itself, which is Yale, like that's like where I go to school. I wanted to set up and have like a meeting with them because I know they've seen some episodes of Silence. As soon as the political climate started to become a very much like the government versus the Ivy Leagues, and now if you guys been paying attention to the news on our social media, you know that some Ivy Leagues, they're getting hundreds and millions of dollars taken away from them because they're protesting certain things going on in the world right now. Like, it's a lot going on, and obviously I have this platform and it's still small, I'm still growing, and I'm still starting to continue to like build my reach and build my audience. But at the same time, a few of my episodes have gone viral on TikTok, and a lot of the times people that I would never in a million years expect to see my episodes or watch Silence have seen my episodes and watch Silence. So I'm 100% aware that once I press export, once I press upload, once I press publish, once I press send, I don't know where my video is going to go. I don't know who's going to see it. I don't know what hands it's going to get in. So I don't want to be talking about highly controversial issues, highly touchy subjects, and I could potentially say something or do something that could be used against me and could be used against Yale, especially during a time like this. Like, I really do not in no way, shape, or form want to contribute to the issues that we're facing in this country right now. And that, once again, like, that just goes to speak, and I hope like I hope I got this point across, but I'm going to continue to say it just in case. The purpose of Silence the Podcast was never and will never and has never been to be this Yale exposed page and I hate Yale and defund Yale and close the school down and I'm transferring out of Yale. No, it's simply me sharing my experiences as a low income Black student, Black woman at Yale at an Ivy League, and share my real, raw, honest experiences, because there's a plethora of Yale content creators and I don't really like tune in or engage, but I do it from what I have seen. They're showing the glitz and the glamour. I'm showing what I hope I'm showing is the ups and the downs. And I just so happen to be experiencing a lot more downs than ups. But at the end of the day, like, that's the truth. That's the raw, real experience that I'm having. But at the same time, I want to be mindful and cautious about what I'm posting and when I'm posting it, and just being aware and responsible with my platform. So I try to set up a meeting with the dean of Yale so we could like talk about what should I stray away from out of respect and like trying to protect Yale, or what is safe to talk about. But scheduling conflicts due to midterm season, so I wasn't able to meet with them, so I just ended up not filming that episode to be on the safe side. And then after that, we went on spring break, and at the end of midterm season, I had no energy left in me, similar to when I came home for winter break back in December. I had no energy, no motivation. I was not happy. Like, I was just incredibly stressed out, and I don't want to come on camera with that energy because I feel like it's very noticeable when I'm stressed out, when I'm unhappy, when I'm going through something, and I don't want that to rub off on you guys, and I don't want the narrative around Silence to be that it's a negative platform where I'm always sad or depressed or talking about something negative. No. And on top of that, I ended up getting sick, which I don't know if you guys can hear it. I hope you can't. But yeah, I did catch a cold. It wasn't like super dramatic. The main thing was my cough. I had a lot of buildup in my like lungs and in my chest, and I'm getting over it now. I'm on the ending of it, but I did and kind of do still have a little cold. And on top of that, it was my birthday. I officially turned 19, and I don't know if you guys can tell, but I'm in my Dora era right now. I did, if you're a visual listener, I did cut my hair to a bob. No, I didn't have a mental psychotic breakdown and chop off on my hair yet. I did have a lot of dead hair. The hair you guys saw me like having in all my other episodes was my natural like hair. A lot of it at the end was like dead. It could not curl. So I just didn't want to keep holding on to dead hair. So I'm like, okay, it's my 19th birthday. Let me just cut it off. So I found this Black owned hair salon in New York City, and she gave me this, bob cut. and I'm going to try to keep it up and maintain it so that I can refresh my curls while also maintaining my healthy hair. That's where I've been. That's what has been going on with me. I really didn't anticipate being gone for as long as I did, and I was kind of beating myself up about it too, because I really pride myself on being consistent and sticking to my word. So when I just disappeared off the face of earth and didn't say anything, or didn't give you guys a warning, or didn't post on the Silence Instagram page at silence.pod if you don't follow it already, I kind of did feel bad, but I was like, I'm gonna come back with a bang. And the next few episodes are gonna be real important episodes because this is the ending of my first year of college, my first year at Yale, and I have a lot to say. I have a lot to say, a lot to share, and I have two more guests coming on. One is literally Yale's Black it girl. Like, she is one of the spearheads of the Black community at Yale. Everyone knows her, everyone loves her, and I'm excited to have her on the podcast. She's one of my, good friends and good people that I met here. And I have another group of people coming on to talk about the issue, about the larger issue, because I did discover there's a larger issue in the Black community at Yale, and we're going to talk about that, and the whole African versus African American conversation is going to be good. So stay tuned. I'm back. Don't unsubscribe, don't unfollow. I'm back, and I'm here to wrap up the season. There's only 4 more episodes in this season, and I might throw in a little extra one for you guys just because I was missing an action. But yeah, we're nearing the end. My second semester at Yale Part 1, that episode, I'm about to start here where I left off from there. So leaving off at episode 7, like I told you guys, I feel way better after I uploaded that, and I had really, really, really amazing feedback, and I felt like I was just escaping a depressive episode. Like, I was getting out of this rut I was in. Life was starting to feel good. Life was starting to look up again. I was starting to be more motivated, feel more excited about school. Then fast forward, like I told you guys, I was going to meet with my dean and try to get the help I need, because like I said, I was struggling in some of my classes. I didn't feel like I did my schedule correctly this time around, and I was really like stressed and overwhelmed. So I met with my dean. She's a lovely lady, a lovely individual. She's so helpful, and basically what she told me is it was still the very beginning of the semester, so I might be letting my like nerves and my anxiety get the best of me. So before I start writing off classes and already determining what I should drop and what I need to like pass fail, take a breather. Everything's going to be okay. She reassured me that I'm doing just fine, because every time you schedule a session with your dean, they have like this file of like all your classes, your personal information, stuff like that, so that they know like who they're dealing with and what they're coming into when you walk in their office. So she pulled out my file, she looked through it, she was like, you're doing fine, like I'm not even worried about you, so you shouldn't really be worried about you yet. And she basically gave me some strategies to, follow through with, so that I could touch base with all my professors, make sure I'm doing well in their classes. And yeah, that gave me a lot of reassurance, and I really needed that. I'm not gonna lie, because like I told you guys in my last episode about struggling with and dealing with like depression and anxiety, especially as a college student, and my depression and anxiety being so closely tied and closely connected to school and education and grades, and always feeling like, or in trying to unlearn the lessons that my previous schools had taught me about, if I'm not the smartest in the room, or if I'm not better than someone else, or if I don't have higher grades than someone else, then I'm not good enough, or I'm not trying hard enough. Trying to unlearn all of that, it does get very stressful and overwhelming. So having a dean that's very supportive, very helpful, always down to listen to me, always making time to talk to me, never just shutting me up or shying me away or gaslighting me, that's really helpful, and I really appreciate that. So then after that, I kind of realized that I was kind of letting my anxiety get the best of me, because I just needed to give it a little bit more time. And I ended up really falling in love with 3 out of the 4 classes that I'm taking. I love the 3 classes. Like, they're so interesting. I'm very excited to go, and I'm doing well in the classes. It's looking like I could get my 3 A's. It's looking like I could get my 3 A's. We're still currently on spring break right now, so it's only halfway through the semester. We have 1 month left before the end of the school year and before finals and all of that. Well, really about 3 weeks, but you get the point. So as of right now, I'm doing well, except for one of them. And I'm not going to touch on this one too much because it's looking real scary right now. And I don't want to jinx myself, or I don't want it to feel real that I'm really struggling in one class right now. So I'm going to just hold off on telling you guys about that. But I will tell you guys about it in my season finale recap of my first year, everything I learned, the pros and cons, everything. That's gonna be the last episode 13 or 14, if I give you guys that extra one I was telling you guys about. School is going decent, school is going okay, and I realized that I just needed to give it a little bit more time, because I did end up liking the classes more as the weeks went on. In February, I did a little trip. I took a little weekend trip to Houston. I was visiting my dad, and I also love Houston. Houston is like my oasis. That's my like decompressive, like enjoy life, ride horses, and just be happy and be me. Like, I really have a great love for Houston. And if it wasn't a red state, and yes, everything is political, because as you guys can see, when you think and when you live your life and when you believe that not everything is political or not everything has some type of government ties to it, this is where the country ends up. But I'm not going to get into that right now. Everything is political. So wherever I do choose to settle down and end up after I graduate will have to align with my political beliefs. And yeah, it's a whole lot that goes into it. Saying all that to say, I really do love Houston and I really do enjoy being there. It wasn't that much of an escape because I was still studying for midterms while I was on that trip, but just being able to leave Yale for a little bit and take a breather and be with like my dad, someone I love, literally my best friend. We have matching tattoos and everything. Like, that's really my dog. I needed that. I needed that real bad. Like, I needed that really, really, really bad. After I came back from Texas, I was still on this. It wasn't really a high. Like, I just felt okay. I didn't feel down. I didn't feel really stressed or sad. I had took all my midterms. I did well on my midterms. And my professors, my teaching assistants, they were giving me a little bit of reassurance. And I felt good again. And then the cycle started again because at Yale, we have two midterm. Well, some of us, some classes have two midterms. So you take a midterm like 3 weeks after the no, like 2.5, maybe 3 weeks after the semester starts. And then you take another one, and then another like 2 weeks, and then it's the final. So this my first semester, I didn't have two midterms. My second semester, which is now, I did the whole two midterm things for half of my classes. So I had that experience of like, preparing for a midterm, taking it, feeling good again, having to prepare right again for the next one. So that was kind of stressful all over again. And I started to fall back into the cycle of not feeling like I belong here, not feeling like I'm smart enough to be here, just questioning everything, just questioning my worth and stuff. And that's just like a constant cycle up and down I've been going through this entire school year. And that's just something that I really want to change going into my sophomore year, which is next year, because that is very unhealthy. It's not helpful at all in any way, shape, or form. And it makes the experience feel much more daunting, if that makes sense. I overthought myself. I made myself so nervous and anxious to the point where I entered another depressive episode in February, at the end of February, right before we went on break, like a week and a half, 2 weeks before we went on break. And I just felt exactly how I felt back in January. Stress is looking very bleak right now. I'm down. I feel depressed. I feel immense sadness. I feel so alone. I feel like I can't do this. I feel like I wasn't meant to be here. I feel like I don't deserve to be here. Yeah, all of that came back. That's why I made it clear in my episode 8 about depression and anxiety. That cycle is just a vicious cycle. And it's a cycle I'm stuck in, but it's a cycle I'm actively trying to work through. But it has not been easy, literally at all. And then that brings us to the break. I did enjoy my spring break. And that's another thing I do like about Yale. Like, that's another pro of Yale. They know that their school is stressful. They know that their students are stressed out 99% of the time. So in return, they do bless us with very, very long breaks. Not very long, but like longer compared to everyone else. Like, all of my friends, their break was only 4 days to a week long. My spring break is 2 weeks long. My winter break was a whole month long. We did have a break in October. It was October break. And we had another break in November. And they were both like a week and a half or a little bit over a week. That's what I'm saying. Like, Yale does bless us with longer than normal breaks, which I appreciate, because if I only had 1 week of break and I had to go right back to school, today is Monday. If I had to go back to class right now, I would not be happy camper. On top of that, it's very gloomy outside. There was like tornado warnings in the Midwest. So up here in the Northeast, we're getting like the rain backlash and stuff. It's dark, it's gloomy, it's sad outside. No. But there is something I do want to touch on that I have my first time experience, well, not experiencing because I was left out, but my first time like really seeing the whole spring break-esque college vibe. Okay. So I'm going to preface this by saying there's no secret. Like, I feel very alone at Yale. I feel very isolated. I feel like I haven't found my people or my person yet. So we go on spring break and I'm like, ooh, sigh, breathe in, breathe out, meditate, nami ho rengeki yo. Like, I'm very, relaxed. I'm very happy. Our spring break started on my birthday, but obviously I left like 2 days earlier so that I can like be home on my birthday, which was March 10th. Thank you. Another thing I noticed, a lot of people at Yale are Pisces. Yep, thank you. Yeah, so we go on spring break and I'm like, okay, like I'm gonna relax, I'm gonna chill, like I can finally like be at home. And I'm still alone because my mom has to work and my friends they're all like back in school. So I'm still like alone, still by myself. But I can at least be in a place that I'm not stressed out in all the time. Like my dorm room at Yale. I'm on Instagram, just scrolling. And then everybody's on the plane, everybody's on the beach, everybody's in bikinis, everybody got fresh braids. I'm like, what's going on? Like, did I miss out on something? Like, what's tea? And I'm seeing and I'm learning that at Yale, like everybody like does this like trip with their friend group on spring break. They either go to Cancun, Mexico, they go to Puerto Rico, they go to Dominican Republic, they go to Africa and all that. And I'm like, damn. And I would say like I'm not trying to come off as being a hater. Like I love that for them, honestly. Like it looked like everyone had a great time with their friends. Everyone posted their little vacation dumps, Puerto Rico dumps and stuff after their vacation with their friend groups and on the beach, suns out, buns out, and all that other stuff. But it just further solidifies how much I really don't fit in at Yale. And I want to touch on this a little bit later again. But like I said, it just really solidified that because one, where did everyone get the money to just go on these trips like that? And it's like obviously this probably took a few months worth of planning. Like everybody already established that they were going on this trip probably like around winter break and stuff. Like they probably prepared in advance. But it's like everybody just got basically about $1,000 to throw around for like plane tickets and trips and Airbnbs and eating out there and stuff like that. Like, well, damn, I'm clearly not in y'all tax bracket. And then on top of that, it's like y'all got the friends to do it too. I was missing both parts. And money in general makes me very uncomfortable to talk about. So I'm not even gonna stay on the topic for too long. If I was in a friend group and we wanted to take like a spring break trip, I would be able to do that. I didn't have the money saved for the trip. And I didn't have the friends to go on the trip. What? So I'm like, damn. So that just further sent me into this I feel alone, I don't belong, spiral again. Well, not really spiral. Like I didn't spiral during the break, but it did make me sad. I'm not gonna lie. Every time I open in my phone, I'm seeing, or every time I open Instagram, I'm seeing everyone on these trips and these lavish vacations, having fun, having a good time with their friends, making lifelong memories. Because spring break trips with your like closest college friends with no adult supervision, that's not memories, and that's not stuff that you just like forget. So I'm like, damn, like another thing I'm missing out on, another thing I can't experience at Yale. I gotta get off this. I literally put my Instagram on a time limit because literally story after story, scroll after scroll, it's everyone on vacations, and it just makes me feel more like isolated and alone than I already feel. And I already feel immense isolation and loneliness and being alone and feeling I don't really fit in. So I just didn't need the extra spring break heartbreak, honestly. I already came to the conclusion that like my first year of college was just shitty. Like honestly, it was just shitty. I didn't really meet people. Well, the people I did meet, we didn't last long at all. It did alter some brain chemistry, literally. I just didn't find people. I didn't really have a great time. I was in my dorm room most of the time. I fully accepted the fact that my first year of college was literally so shitty. Like literally so shitty. I would shave my head bald before I go through and experience my first year of college all ever again. I'm done after this. Like, yeah, I've literally learned my lesson. I'm literally so done and I'm over this. Like, no, I'm ready to just fast forward to sophomore year so I could basically start fresh because I need a redo. I need a redo. Like I'm so over this year. You guys don't even understand. Yeah, it was just a hard pill to swallow seeing everyone have fun and stuff on break. I really do hope that everyone had fun. I hope everyone had a good time. I know it's kind of crazy right now in all these different countries. People are going missing. People are getting kidnapped. People are getting killed. College students are going through this on their spring break trips. And I haven't heard or seen anything about any Yale students like going missing or getting hurt and stuff. So I'm glad about that. But like I said, I'm gonna use my sophomore year as a redemption, and hopefully I have a way better experience next year. Because I'm not gonna lie, I can't do another 3 years of feeling how I felt for the past 8 months. I just cannot do it, bro. I literally can't. That's really where I'm at right now. Right now, I have one more week of break left, and I go home next week. So I have a lot of work to do as far as planning for Silence and the rest of the season. And then the Voices We Hear, which is my nonprofit that I have, where I provide 100% free college mentoring to underprivileged and underrepresented students. I mentor juniors and seniors interested in college and trying to make it to college. I do step-by-step guidance, advice, feedback, everything on a common app, applying for college, Zoom sessions, all of that. If you're interested, the voices we hear on Instagram or the voices we hear at gmail.com, or you could just comment under this, send me a DM, email me, whatever, and we could connect about it. Applications for that are going to open on May 1st. So I'm preparing for that right now. I'm going to talk about the overall timeline of like everything that happened since I first arrived to Yale in August, and what I learned, what I want to do better next year, the pros and the cons of Yale, my decision about staying here, and my season finale, which is going to be the very last episode of season 1 of Silence the Podcast by me. But I will give you guys a little like hint. I feel like I answered the question of why Yale chose me. And I'm going to like be honest, I did not, and I was not able to answer this question by reading my admissions file. Now, if you don't want to know what that means, or if you don't know what that is, some colleges give their students the opportunity to read through like their admissions file, which is the file that the admissions officers was like writing comments and writing like stuff in code and stuff about whether or not they should accept or deny the student admission to the school. And Yale does that as well. It's really simple. All you do is set up a meeting with the Yale undergraduate admissions office. It's like a building that you go to, and they say like you can't record, you can't take a picture, you can't pull out your phone. It's supposed to be very secret, very private, and you get to basically read your file and see like what they thought about you when they were reading your application, what the pros were of your application, what the cons were. That would help you further answer the question of why Yale chose you and like what did they like the most that made you and allowed you to get in. But me personally, I do want to read it at some point, but I would probably read it like when I'm about to graduate. And I say that because honestly, if I read the admissions file, I don't think it would make much of a difference of how my experience at Yale is going, if that makes sense. Yes, I will have that in the back of my mind, like, okay, this is why they chose me, but I still feel like I would struggle with feeling like an imposter and feeling like I don't belong and feeling super isolated and super alone just because of the circumstances. Like, that's all very true. Like, I don't feel like I fit in at Yale. I don't feel like I found my people yet. And I have been alone majority of the time. Like, majority of the time, if I'm not in class or I'm not at the gym or I'm not at work, I'm in my room. So, you know, like all of that is still true regardless of whatever they wrote in my file. And I don't want to like see it now because it's not going to have like a difference yet. It's going to be a little bit more special and worthwhile if I wait to read it until right before I'm about to graduate in 2028. But I honestly feel like Yo chose me because of my work ethic. I've noticed that, especially when you make it into the Ivy Leagues, all of that smartness goes away because you could have been the top of your class, valedictorian, perfect GPA at your high school. But when you get to Yale, everyone was that. Everyone was a valedictorian. Everyone had the highest GPA. Everyone had the highest grades. Your grades and your smartness, that doesn't really set you apart anymore because everyone had that similar experience. That's part of the reason why we got into Yale. We had the credentials to back it up. For me personally, and what I noticed, especially throughout the hard times I faced throughout my first year at Yale, I feel like my work ethic is what makes me stand out as a person. I told you guys before, when I was on what was supposed to be a getaway trip in Houston with my father, getting away from school, getting away from Yale, and, you know, having a good time, I was still making study guides for my biology exam. I was still doing schoolwork. I was still, you know, staying on top of my GCal, still looking at my emails. And it wasn't like an excessive point to the point where I was doing that all day, every day while I was in Houston. Like, no, I still made it a point to have fun, spend time with my dad, go to different restaurants, horseback ride, which is something that I love to do. But I know, like, and I have great understanding of my priorities and my purpose and why I'm even at Yale in the first place. And I never let myself just give up on my academics, like, ever. Like, I'm never just gonna not study for an exam. I don't care how well I'm thinking I'm doing in the class. I'm never just gonna not study for an exam. I'm never just gonna not email my professor when I have a question. I'm never just gonna give up on myself. And that was also very apparent to me because the one class that I'm severely struggling in right now, when our midterm was coming up and when our first, you know, assignment was due and I was really lost and confused, I went to 3 different office hours for the same class on the same day. Because at one, that's when they were being offered. And 2, because I was really determined to understand. I was really determined to do well. I think that's what always set me apart because, and not to keep going back to the whole, well, my peers in high school were, but my peers in high school, I'm not going to lie, like, a lot of the times when things were hard or confusing, that's when no one was engaged in the lesson. That's when people would stop showing up to the class. That's when people would stop raising their hand and participating and everyone would just go on their phone. But that was never me. when things were challenging, I wanted to learn more. I wanted to challenge myself. I wanted to push myself more to understand and actually get it and exceed and excel. And I think that's the reason why, regardless of me being sad most of the time, regardless of me having not the best time, regardless of me struggling, I'm still trying my best, and my work ethic is out of this world. And it's not like it's artificial, it's not like it's fabricated, it's not like I have someone in my ear or like a parent in my ear telling me, well, if you don't do this, we're gonna take your phone, or we're gonna cut you off and not send you money, or we're gonna not speak to you. It's not like I have that. It's just intrinsic motivation to understand and to do well and to better myself and educate myself and be educated, especially at a time like this. Honestly, whether or not that's like confirmed in my admissions file, I know that is what makes me stick out. I'm not gonna lie. I've always tried and pushed myself to my full potential. And I feel like that's genuinely what sets me apart. And I'm not saying like no one else has this quality or no one else has this skill, but I just think it's something that I notice about myself that really stands out to me, especially on how I problem solve and how I've been navigating the whole college thing. If you're watching this and you are a high school student and you know you want to apply to Yale someday, or if you are a student that already got in and you want to know more about what it's like at Yale and what the experience is like, that's something that's a quality that I think you should either A, have already, or B, strengthen it, or C, develop if you don't have it. Because this is hard. This is challenging. This is time consuming. This is emotionally taxing and mentally taxing. And if you don't have the intrinsic motivation, not mommy and daddy in your ear telling you what to do and you better do this and you better do that, or we're going to do this and do that, an actual drive and inner motivation to get stuff done and to stay on your path and stay on your purpose and to actually excel and be educated, I think that's very important. And that's what's been helping me. So I feel like if you want to know how to prepare, I feel like that's would be one of my biggest tips. That was that for today's episode. I really appreciate you guys for listening and watching. Once again, I apologize for my little disappearance and my little, getaway that I took from silence. That was not anticipated. That was not expected. I did not expect that to happen at all, especially for that long. I highly don't anticipate it happening again before the season finale, which is before the last episode. I, more than you'll ever know, cannot wait to finish my first year of college, because Lord knows I need a break and I need a few months to just unwind and process and really delve deeper in, heal and identify and reflect on all the things that this first year of college experience has put me through. I would not have been able to get through it without you guys, and for that I'll ever be grateful. Make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe, follow, and yeah, I'll see you guys in episode 10.